Hey guys, welcome back. This is gonna be part 5 of the paddle battle. I believe it's part 5. I'd like to get it working. And then later on, I'm gonna be working on Spy Hunter, which I don't know if the video probably won't come out until tomorrow. Probably go out there, work on it tonight for a little bit, finish it up tomorrow. I'm actually off of work tomorrow. So I'd like to maybe do a long video and see if we can't get the whole thing back together and get it turned on to see how it's working and stuff like that. Package came today from Arcade Parts and Repair. Open that up real quick. That should be the parts for Tempest monitor. And also, I found 8 little carriage bolts to put the control panel back together for Paddle Battle. I polished the heads up. They're stainless steel. We're gonna have to drill the holes bigger. They were riveted on before, so we're just gonna drill these holes bigger so that these will slide through. Not a big deal. I'd rather have these than a screw head showing because I think that would look a lot better. It looks a little bit more original. And I cut 2 2x4s, which I don't even know where I put them, to set the monitor on, and hopefully that's gonna be tall enough for the monitor. If we have to go higher, we'll go higher. We'll shim it up a little bit higher. So let's see what we got here. This is my parts that I ordered. Let me look at my receipt here. Oh, this is, I don't know what this is. Okay, there's no receipt in here, it looks like. Okay, so we have the LV 2000 kit in pieces. We have to put it together. I'm imagining that there should be a paper in here on how to do it, hopefully. Okay, looks like there's a picture and stuff. So that's a project I'd like to get to this weekend if possible. I would like to see if we can fix that monitor with the LV 2000 kit, and I ordered a deluxe cap kit for the 6100. So we're gonna go ahead and do a cap kit on it and change the LV, well, put the LV 2100 or whatever the heck it is, LV 2000. So hopefully that fixes the monitor on Tempest. That would be awesome. Then we pretty much done with that game as far as I can remember. I don't know, maybe I gotta put a lock on it or something. I'm not sure. So let me put these off to the side. Jolene, leave the cat alone. Garbage. So first thing I want to do is on the paddle battle, I want to grab the 2x4s, set them in there, and set the monitor in there, and we could see what kind of height that's going to bring it up to. We have to put this in here, and we got to figure out, because we have to shift the monitor to the left side of the cabinet. I think this just sits in here, and then the control panel holds it in. Yeah, there's a groove up there. It just sits in here. Control panel holds it in. So, yeah, we got to raise it up and that way. We might have to raise it up more than I think. Might have to go up 2 2x4s. Apparently my puppy's having a rough day. The cat is hiding from her. So she can't play with the cat right now. So she's all upset. That's why she's crying in the background. So all she wants to do is play with the cat. Do you guys have any idea how rough a life it's got to be to not be able to play with the cat every day? I mean, we're talking dramatic stuff here, guys. Actually, we got this wood to work off of. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball. I wonder if I could stick the monitor through the front. Let me grab the monitor, pause this real quick. I gotta move the Tempest cabinet. Looks like it's probably gonna fit through the front. Now, I have 2 more Tempest cabinets, okay? I have another Tempest cabinet that is currently empty. And I'm gonna fix the artwork up on it, and I'm gonna try to turn it back into a Tempest with help with Jason with the monitor, which I'm still waiting on for him to get parts for it. And then I have a third Tempest cabinet, which is going to be I'm going to do all the body work on it, and I'm going to give it to Jason in exchange for some monitors and stuff. So that Tempest cabinet is spoken for. So basically the Cinestar, we're going to be working on Cinestar, Robotron, and a Tempest cabinet for the same guy who bought the Journey cabinet off of me. So all three of those are spoken for, and that's where they're going to go. Nope, I have to go through the back. Yeah, we're going to have to go up higher. Quite a bit higher. That would be badass to get it right there. Then I probably don't have to put a screen surround on it. Where is my bezel? Grab my bezel here. Jolene, please leave the cat alone. She doesn't want to play with you. She's mad at you. Oh, monitor just fell down. Okay, so the monitor has to go that way. So we know we gotta scoot it that way. I think till about this edge is touching the wood. And it's looking like we're gonna need another 2x4. So I'm gonna go cut 2 more blocks of 2x4, and then we'll have to double stack them. All right, let's stack another 2x4. Gotta straighten them out. Okay, so we're hitting on the top and not the bottom. So that means I'm gonna have to shim the bottom 2x4 in the front only with the 2x4. And then the back, it'll get the cabinet, or get the monitor to slope downwards, which is what we need. So, let's take this. Of course, the blocks are too long now. Yay. Cut this one. think we're damn close now. That's a pretty good angle right there. Okay, shift it a little bit more to my left. Like that. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think we're gonna have to put a bezel around it to hide the wood and everything, but I'd have to say that's in a pretty good location. Now that bezel is gonna be a little bit of a bitch. I almost wonder if I think I'm gonna have to make one out of a piece of poster board, because if I use a plastic bezel, that's gonna set the monitor back farther. And if the monitor goes much back much farther, it's going to create an issue at the back door. Because if you look where that board is right there, in relations to the cabinet, see, we don't have a lot of room. So that 3/4 inch wood's just gonna clear that neck board, it looks like. So we'll have to make a bezel out of some poster board. Not a big deal. We can probably use a plastic bezel as a guide to cut the hole out for the monitor. Now I gotta screw that in. Okay, that is nice and secured. It's not going to go anywhere. Before I put the monitor in, I need to put the marquee light back in, because if I don't do that, and we have to make a piece of cardboard for up there too. So let me grab the marquee light and we'll get that done next. All right, I'm going to get that the marquee light screwed up there. awkward spot. All right, that is up there. And this will go to that side. I have to grab my stapler from the shop. I'm going to use a couple of these old vinyl straps that they had to hold the wire. Now we can set the monitor up there, hopefully for the last time. So glad I don't really mess around with 25-inch monitors anymore. That sucked. You know, I think we have a little room on that screen bezel that I could fudge it that way a little bit. That's actually probably close to centered. And go back that way a little bit. I'll go with right there. Then I'm going to scoot it back just a tiny bit. Grabbing a couple screws here. I'm going to grab some new screws because I obviously didn't have screws for that, and a couple washers. All right, I grabbed 4 washers and screws. The reason why I grab big washers and small screws is because I'm putting these into the slots on the monitor frame so that I can move the monitor back and forth a hair if I need to. I'm only going to be able to put 3 screws in because my drill will not fit up this side unless this yellow one might. This yellow one might fit. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but got it. All right, so now we know that that's nice and secured. I have some poster board here so we can just check it. So I need to cut this down so that's the width of the cabinet. We're going to slide it in there, and then we're going to have to mark the monitor and then cut it out so that it goes around the monitor. So I'm going to grab a pair of scissors because I'm not going to try to cut this with a razor blade. It'd be kind of a pain in the butt. Doesn't have to be perfect. Wish I wouldn't have made that 2x4 tight, but I'll just cut around it. I'll make it work. Okay. We'll just leave it like that. It'll be the blacked out version. Very difficult to play. Actually, I'm probably going to have to cut it down more because there's a 2x4 in there I'm going to hit. So I actually got to take 1.5 inches more off of this guy. Shoot, there's a wood brace right there. And there's going to be one on the other side. Not bad. We can even lift it up a little bit. I wonder if I can get the stapler up there. So now I got to figure out where I have to draw my cutout. And then when this goes on, it's just going to help hide anything so you don't see anything in there. I want it to be nice and black as much as possible around that monitor. So let me grab one of those screen bezels, those plastic ones that go around the monitor, and see if we can't trace that onto here now. Let me lift this up a little bit. So I'm going to say right here. Right here. Coming in about 1/2 inch from the edge of the tube. Right there. So now what I'm thinking is, check this out. I like I said, I could have put one of these on, but then it's going to move the monitor back another inch. And I'm afraid it's going to be back too far. I have a pen right over here. Ouch. So I run into the wall. I've got a super mess going on down here. I'm good at making messes. I'm really good at it. All right. Well, didn't get it all the way with the pen, of course. Trace over it again. Does that smell good, Billy? You want to cut? You want to do it? Guess not. Guess it wasn't that interesting. She's out of here. Good news is if I screw up, I have a 50 pack of these sheets of poster board. I got sick of going to like the dollar store or Walmart, and they're a couple bucks at Walmart. Dollar store doesn't always have ones wide enough, but you can get a whole pack of like 50 of them or 25 of them on Amazon for way cheaper. Clean this mess up, Jolene. Why are you so interested in these scissors? What is it? Don't lick them. You want a haircut? No, they're not toys. We're not going to play with them. You know what I want to do before I go stuffing that in there? I'm going to take a piece of this stuff and wrap it around that 2x4 because I noticed that you could see it a little bit. Wonder if I should just double side tape it right to the monitor and grab some tape. Oh man, my camera was pointing in the wrong way. Don't have any double-sided tape down here, but I have duct tape. That'll work just as well by rolling it. You gotta roll it really tight, because if you roll it really loose, your loop will open back up on you. And we don't need a lot. We're not holding up something heavy. I watched the new Happy Gilmore movie today. It was okay. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. Tight. I don't really like that. I'm gonna have to see if it shows. Might just have to tape another piece of poster board on that. Not a big deal. Once it's blacked out, you won't see it. Don't see it at all. Perfect. That looks good. So leave it like that. I'm not even going to wipe this down again because it's so damn dark you're never going to see anything. All right, so that is done. Now I got to drill holes into the control panel so that we can get those little cup thingies back on there, and then we got to put the potentiometers on it. And clean up this poster. Oh, you know what? We got to do. Got to make that other part first for the poster board. This guy for the marquee light. I want to see how it fits in there because I don't think I untaped it. I think it was already fell down in the cabinet. Okay, I see how it went. We actually have to make the new one longer because the TV is not in there. The TV had had a big ledge at the top, and this sat on top of it. Well, this is going to have to go longer because it's got to sit on top of the monitor tube, which is shorter than or not as deep as the TV was. So I'm going to take a guess at it right here. now I can staple it up there. Then we just have to do the control panel, get the PCB and stuff mounted up in here. Look at that, perfect length. What a guess. Okay, put one in the middle here. Sweet. All right, now I'm gonna clean up this mess real quick. Let me show you what it looks like. So it's just sitting there, and can't see anything, but sitting up in here. It's on top of the monitor, and that's gonna keep the light from shining down, hopefully. Hopefully it's long enough. Seems like it is. Should be good. I want to get the PCB and stuff mounted before I do the control panel. Now I'm going to unplug these plugs so I can mount the thing. Now, these three plugs are identical. So you could obviously easily plug this one in here and this one in here, and it would you wouldn't know. So this is number 4, so I'm going to put a 4 on it. This is a 3. Apparently 3 doesn't want to write on here. This is a 2. This one we don't need to mark. All right. Come back over here. You gotta get a light. Cannot wait to clean up down here. That's why I wanted to get this kind of put back together tonight. I wanted a project complete down here. I have too many things torn apart right now. So you could buy a tube like this at Home Depot in the hardware section. And I just cut some spacers. And I have some screws here. And we're just gonna put it behind the board, the plastic, run the screw through the board, and basically just mount it. Oops. We're gonna have to mount it this way because it's so big, which is fine. Started. Might need a smaller Phillips bit. Yeah, I need a number 1 Phillips. Grab that. Can you move out of the light? Back up. our board is mounted. I got to get my mounts for this. Okay, now I can kind of determine, I don't want to make a bunch of new wires and stuff. So I think I'm just going to mount my power supply right there, put my speaker, and I'm probably just going to hang it right off of there, like that. It's going to look kind of a little bit hokey, but I don't have a speaker grill because originally it was in the TV itself. These are going to go up there. This is my power cord. That's going to go through there, and I'm going to put a clamp on the back side, and that'll hold that in place. This is my power for my monitor. And then this is the control panel. So let me go grab need a clamp for that and a screw. What else do I need? I need the legs for the power supply, clamp for that, a couple screws for all three. And then these, I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to mount these. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. Might have to put one or two in the control panel. I'm not sure. No, you know what? I think I put the wrong screw right there. Whoops. Luckily I didn't tighten it. This is a terminal screw. They always give you an extra terminal screw. Well, at least they used to. I don't know. Now that Arcade Shop has different power supplies, I don't know. I didn't look at the hardware. clamps for that. I think I'm just going to tie my marquee light right into the wiring for the monitor. I don't think it's going to hurt it. I mean, it's all the same power anyways. Fortunately, I'm only going to be able to untangle this wiring so much because it was clearly not made for this cabinet. That worked great. Broke the strap. I need to get a better strap. Apparently that's a crappy one. Beautiful. Okay, that's done. Let's get this made. This light does not have a ground wire, so we can take off the middle wire here. Gold goes to black. Okay, we have that in now. Beautiful. I wish I could change this a little bit, but I really can't. The way they have it. Maybe I can. That, unfortunately, is going to have to drape like that because it's just not long enough. I can put a little bit more out of it. It's not horrible. That's my ground for the monitor plug. So yeah, once the Spy Hunter sit down leaves, we are going to be working on the other Cinestar that I have, the Robotron and the Tempest. Those are the next three cabinets I'm going to be working on out there. And what I plan on doing is working on those games out there and then coming in the basement and working on the Space Duel down here and stuff. I want to get that finished up. I probably got to call Mike's Arcade and see what the status is on the Space Firebird PCB, see if they've even looked at it yet. And I got to check on the PCB for Arabian, see if that's fixed yet. So like I said with this, I'm just going to mount this up here. It's not going to hurt anything, just hanging out up there. sit right there. What's the orange wire? Was the orange wire sync? Crap, forget. Red, green, blue sync. Yes, this is sync for the monitor. Yeah, I thought I had an orange wire. Must have left it out in the shop or something. All right, so we have to eliminate this wire that's not being used. Double check. Red, green, blue, ground, sync. Yes. Make all these the same length because that drives me nuts. This one is no longer used. Is this one no longer used? Yes. That one's gone. Pull these all tight. Cut them all. And then cut them all again because the green's shorter than everything else. Okay, so now we have to tie red, green, blue, and sync all together, and then the ground separate. Okay, then our green wires are ground. This plugs in that way. I'll probably take it this way. Means this green wire is going to have to get strapped. Actually, I could probably run it right through this one. I'll just put another strap over here. I heard TNT Amusement is going to close. That's sad. Been around forever. I don't think I have an orange wire over here. I'm going to have to go grab one. Oh, there I do. Sweet. Okay. Clamp these up over here. I think we are all wired as far as the video and the speakers together and all that. And the marquee light and the monitor. So I'm going to grab a couple zip ties. I can zip tie that stuff up. Like I said, unfortunately, these wires are a little short, unless maybe I just pull that down a little bit. That looks much better. Mucho better. All right. Thinking. I need an isolation transformer on the monitor. I never put one on it when I had it in the shop and I was testing it. So I was just trying to think. I was thinking in my head, I didn't use, because it had a TV in it, it didn't have an isolation transformer in the cabinet because it had a TV. So I'm gonna have to take it from here, put an isolation transformer right over here. Not the end of the world, but I did forget about it. We can plug it in for a second just to make sure it works. You do an isolation transformer, you want to run one for voltage spikes and stuff like that. You just don't want to have, you know, you blow something up because you have a voltage spike in your electrical in your house. Running it for a couple minutes is not going to hurt it. But definitely you got to have one. Just want to see if it works. And my wire's not long enough. I need an extension cord, so I'm going to grab an extension cord and I'm going to grab an isolation transformer. Let me plug this in. Actually, got to turn the switch on first. Turn the power onto the plug first, just in case there's any voltage spike. Got nothing on the monitor. Marquee light's lit. Why do we have nothing on the monitor? Okay. See that discoloration in the corner right here, guys? This is the curse of the bottom of the steps. That's what it does to every freaking monitor. But I don't know why we're not getting a picture. Oh. You know what? I'm gonna take this out of here because I don't need to arc anything on the metal. I'm not getting anything to do anything. What's the deal here? I mean, that's lighting up. Why is it not working? Oh, okay, so now it's working, but I'm not producing a video signal. Why? The hell? All right, I'll mess with this for a minute. Okay, I had the sync wire in the wrong location. So I moved that over, now I gotta adjust the monitor. I'm gonna have to get my damn mirror. Oh, looks great. Where is my mirror? You know what? I forget if I had to have both sync wires hooked up or not. Something tells me I might have. So I could put a jumper on it real quick and see what that does. And if that's the case, not a big deal. An easy fix. I don't know what the hell's going on. Oh, I think I do know what's going on. I think it's got to be on the other plug, the other vertical sync plug on the K7000. I don't know if the 6-pin one is the positive sync or the negative sync. I'd have to look it up. I don't remember. But we're going to take the sync wire and we're going to take it to the 3-pin connector, and I think it's the middle one. There it is. Now if I touch the last two, it still works. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you jump the last two sync wires, it looks like. Okay, so I've got to put a connector on here to hook that in. That's not a big deal. We can leave it like that for a minute. I got to put an isolation transformer on it anyways. Okay, screen's too bright. We got to move it over that way. We have that messed up stuff, but I'm not worried about that because I know what that is. So first thing's brightness. Focus is off a little bit, I think. We got to move that over with the horizontal position. It's on 2-player right now, or 4-player, 1-player, I don't know what it's on. What did I do? What did I do? I hit the wire. There we go. That's skewed up there, then that usually is an indication of the horizontal hold. It's a little better. That looks pretty good there. Yep, that's better. Okay. It's on 1-player. There we go. And I think I'm still off center. It still looks like it needs to go that way some. Need a tape measure. Might sound stupid, but I'm gonna use a tape measure. I'm gonna measure this puppy. About an 8 1/4. Actually, the cardboard is overhanging a little too far on the one side. Screen bezel here. I still have a little bit of my convergence rings are still a hair off, but it's looking pretty damn good. So from the painted edge to the middle is 8 3/4. From the painted edge to the middle, it's almost 8 3/4. Close enough. Yeah, fuck, works good. I'm gonna mess with the convergence rings and then I'll be back. Let me see if I can show you it actually. If you look at the dotted line, there's the red is hanging over that way and the blue is hanging over that way. Okay, I got it locked in really good now. So they're all overlapping really well. So now I want to put an isolation transformer on the monitor, and I got to put a wire nut right here on the ground wire. So I got to do that. Isolation transformer. Now we can do the control panel, and then we got to figure out those buttons, and this game should be complete. So let me get some stuff set up here. Okay, I got the monitor even adjusted a little bit better. I turned the brightness down a hair and was able to get the focus to be even better. So it's a real nice, sharp picture now. So I have an isolation transformer here. Now, when you buy these from Arcade Parts and Repair, okay, they sell two different styles. This one, they're both going to say input AC 120 volts, 60 hertz. That's just what they all say. Now, your main thing you want to worry about is your output. AC, 120 volts output, 100 volts VA. I don't worry about the 100. But this is a K7000, G07, 4900. All those monitors are going to use an AC 120 volt, okay? If you have a Nintendo monitor, you have to make sure that this output says AC 100 volts, okay? Because Nintendo monitor works off of 100 volts, and then I think there's another monitor for Zaxxon. I forget what brand that is, but that's also a 100 volt monitor. So that's just something you have to really look out for. Now, these are nice because you don't have to do any guesswork, okay? If you buy isolation transformers from other places, you're going to have some 2 terminals on the top and 2 terminals on the bottom, okay? The nice thing about this, the way he makes these labels, input, AC, 120 volts, red. Output, AC, 120 volts, yellow. So you know that yellow goes to the monitor because that's your output. Your red from the wall goes on this side. It just makes it a lot easier to not have to play the guessing game. So now we are going to disconnect these 2 wires. Now, unfortunately, I have N terminals on there, but I'm going to cut them off. Reason why I'm going to cut them off is because we're going to put new N terminals, okay? 2 new of these terminals here, but we're going to put them right on the red wires so that it's just going to go right from the power supply into here with no wires between the 2 other than these wires coming right out of the isolation transformer. And then obviously we'll have to splice into it going up there. So I'm going to grab 2 terminals for this, and then we just need 2 butt connectors for the other ones, and then we'll have an isolation transformer installed. So if we have any voltage spikes, we don't have to worry about it because it's never going to go over 120 volts or 118. Whatever's going to come out of that, it's going to regulate it to come out. So if it's metering at 118, it should stay around there. You know, sometimes you'll get a power surge in your house, especially summertime with air conditioners and stuff going. Well, you might get a 130 volt spike. And if you get a 130 volt spike, you run the risk of blowing your monitor, something out on the monitor chassis, because the monitor is not designed to handle that kind of voltage. So, you know, you can short term run it without one. You really should never run it without it. But I did because I forgot about it in the shop, and that was total mistake on my part. Nobody even said anything in the video, which is surprising. But yeah, they might have just thought I was tapped into an isolation transformer in the cabinet, and I wasn't, because I forgot in my head that it was a black and white TV that basically just had a regular plug that plugged into the wall. So it worked out there. It didn't cause any damage. So firing it up in here for a couple minutes didn't cause any damage. So I'm also going to grab a spade connector, or not a spade connector, but a female connector. Actually, I think I have one here. Yeah, we'll just use one of these yellow ones, or these orange, red ones. And I should be able to just cut the end off the one side here. We can just put this on for our sync wire, because it's the last 2 pins on this 3-pin plug, and you don't have to use both of the last 2. You can use either or. It works on either or. So some monitors you'll have to tie them both together, but in this case, no, it still works. Right, Eleanor? Right. Trying to shrink it up a little bit so it's a tight fit when it goes on the pin. That feels pretty good. And I know somebody's gonna be like, why don't you use wire strippers? Because I've done it like this my whole life. I do it on cars all the time. I do have a set of automatic strippers, but you know what? I'm so used to doing it with cars that it's just natural to me. So it's just why I do it. There's nothing wrong with wire strippers by any means, don't get me wrong, but I'm just used to putting the right amount of pressure and getting that casing off of there without damaging the wire. Okay, I'm gonna go grab 2 of those terminals while that cools off. And we'll put that isolation transformer in there. Now, on 120 volt wires and cabinets, if I put spade connectors on them, I always use blue, okay? And the wires coming from the game board that go into the power supply, I always use red. Now, the reason why I do that is A, the blue terminals are fatter. They can accept a bigger gauge wire. The red terminals take a smaller gauge wire. Your 5 volts, your 12 volts, your ground and all that is a smaller gauge wire. But the main reason why I do it too is I know in my head that I always do it that way. So I know if I look on this here and I see these pink connectors, I know that those are DC. And I know that anything that has a blue connector on it is AC. And that's just something I do. You don't have to do that. You can use all pink, you can use all blue. But if you get in the habit of doing that, you're less likely to screw it up. You know what I mean? To screw something up. Because let's say this had a pink terminal on it, all right? This red wire. And let's just say for some dumb reason, it's just hanging there with a pink terminal on it, and all these wires are disconnected for some reason. And let's just say I grabbed this and stuck it on that 5 volt line, which is a red wire. You know what I mean? You can cause some serious damage. In this case, you wouldn't, because this is input, but you know what I mean. If the yellow wires were the red on this isolation transformer, you would send 120 volts into the power supply, into the 5 volt line of the power supply, and probably do some pretty good damage. A lot of smoke, smelly smoke. Okay, so now I'll put this somewhere close so the wires make it. That looks good. It's upside down, which I don't really like, and it's only the sticker that's upside down, but only so much you can do. You could definitely put this on the bottom of the cabinet, which is where it usually goes, but I'm putting it here because I just don't want to add another connection. You know, if I put it down there, then I got to splice into these two, or I got to unsolder them off those terminals. And the terminals on these things sometimes can be a little picky as far as if you heat them up too much, they can break on you. Yeah, we'll put 3 screws. That are the ones behind that clamp. Okay, so now we need to cut these wires down because they do not need to be as long as they are. I'll cut them right here. I don't like having too much excessive amount of wires, because to be honest with you, you don't need them to be, you know, if you have them real long and a bunch of extra, you're just the longer the wire, obviously it's not but if you had a 50-foot spool of wire in the bottom of your cabinet, by the time your 5 volts or 120 volts goes through all that wire and out the other side, you have a chance of a voltage drop because of the length of the wire. But in this case, it wouldn't cause any problem. It's not long enough. We have that issue with our Christmas lights because we'll run, you know, 200-300 pixels off of one circuit, off of one 5-volt line. And what happens is by the time that 5 volts goes into the first pixel, comes out of the 200th pixel, chances are our 5 volts goes in, and at the end it's down to 3 volts. And what happens is the last 20, 30, 40 pixels start freaking out because it can't handle it. Now the good thing is we use 12 volt pixels, okay, but we power them with 5 volts, okay. You can run a 12 volt pixel on a 5 volt power supply. Same thing with LED lights for arcade games. You can run a 12 volt LED bulb on 5 volts and it will still light up. So what we end up having to do is, when you have a 200-foot strand of lights with 3-inch spacing between each light, you have a lot of power draw as it goes down the line. Signal is more the issue than the power, but we might meter our first pixel at 7 volts because that might be what it needs to, so that last pixel is getting 5 volts. But usually the power is not as big of an issue as the data. It'll lose data after so long, after so far. It just, that's just the nature of it. There's really no way to do that. Now, some people, like if you want to run like 300 or 400 pixels, you will definitely run into a voltage problem. But what people will do is they'll take 5 volts on the input side, because the pixels go one direction, okay? They have an in and an out. And what some people do is they power inject it. They'll take 5 volts on a 300-foot run of bulbs, and then they'll take another 5 volt wire and then they'll splice it in at 150 bulbs in. So this first 5 volt wire will power the first 150 pixels. They cut it after the 150th pixel. Then the other 5 volt wire goes and hooks up to 151. And that's another way to do it, so that you can keep your voltage more regular. I don't know if that anybody cares, but figured I'd tell you that. Now on an isolation transformer, it doesn't matter which wire goes in which side. It doesn't have any labeling or anything like that. But what I do is I go and I find the terminal that's the farthest over on each one, and I just duplicate that. I just put that on the line, this one on the line, this one on the neutral, that one on the neutral. I just do that to keep them both going the same. That, unless it switches inside the isolation transformer, and then if that's the case, then I guess it doesn't really matter. I don't know how that goes through there. Well, it looks like I'm not going to work on Spy Hunter till the morning. It's already 9 o'clock. I've been screwing around with this for hours. And it didn't help that I took a break to watch Happy Gilmore. Okay, put this in. And I'm gonna try tightening it up a hair more. I could put a 3-prong plug on here, but why waste it? I only need one terminal. Okay. I got to get some zip ties. I forgot those. So now we have that one going to gold. So that one goes to line. This one goes to neutral. Now, my marquee light is regulated too, because I have both hooked up right here, but it doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt it. Okay, I'm going to go grab a zip tie, and I got to find somewhere to put how I'm going to mount these, because this big switch here, that's 120 volts. That's an on-off switch for the cabinet. I don't care if I have an on-off switch in the cabinet because the games turn on with a switch. But I just need to make sure it's mounted somewhere, because if that 120 volts, arcs onto one of these other switches, I'm going to have a big problem called a burned up circuit board. So I got to see if I have some sort of a bracket that I can mount these to. So I will be back for that, and I'm going to grab some zip ties. We're going to kind of tie this up a little bit nicer. These are my wires from my control panel. So I think I'm going to take these and zip tie them. Just kind of clean it up a little bit. Run these over this way, over to the control panel. Okay, I'm going to zip tie some of these wires up. And I found this in my box of miscellaneous coin door parts and stuff. Somebody actually made this one, and there was 2 switches in here. So we're just gonna go out in the shop and drill some new holes in it. This looks, you can see a receipt from like a Home Depot or Lowe's or something way back in the day, or who knows, Builder Square, DIY. But anyways, this looks like it was a Simpson tie is what they use on houses. That's probably what this was, and they just bought it and bent it on a vise or something. But that'll be perfect for this game. And we'll just mount it right here next to the coin door. Now, the one button that is the start button, that I need to, well, I got to put a credit button. So the credit button has to go onto the coin door, and then the start button, I'm going to have to probably put it in the control panel, because there's no other way to start it without that. Unless, can the two be wired together? When the credits hit, would it start a game? We can give it a try. That would be kind of nice. Because then I don't have to drill a hole in the control panel. That's the case, I just need to make 2 holes bigger in that bracket for the 2 switches, the on-off switch and then the other switch that would toggle from 1 player to 2 player, which is fine. I guess if somebody wanted to play it by themselves, I can always open up the coin door and turn it on 1 player. It's actually a pretty fun little project. And I'll have to determine which paddle or which potentiometer does which paddle on the game, because it's labeled on the screen player 1 and player 2. So it's probably pretty smart to make sure I have it going the right way. I'm hoping that I do and it goes this way, but who knows. All right, so I think the black is my credit. Or wait, the black is the start. I think this red one's the credit that lights up. But there's a lot of wires going to it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires going to it. Obviously, if this is a credit button, we have, it's a light up button, so there's a red, there's 5 volts and a ground for sure. Now I don't know if it's running a second ground for the credit button. If it is, I could see where the 5 wires come in, because then there would be like coin slot 1 and coin slot 2. That would be 5 wires. But my guess is it's probably sharing the same ground wire. So I'm going to say that red and black are probably my 5 volts and ground. And then I have a white, orange, and a yellow wire. So I don't know which of the 3 would be the credit button. I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a guess, and I'm going to cut one of them, and I'm going to touch it to ground and see if it gives me a credit. I don't think I'm going to pick the yellow or the red, obviously, or the black. So that leaves me with an orange and a white. And I'm going to go with white. We're going to cut the white wire, and we'll turn the game on. And we'll just put that wire to ground. See what it does. You could multimeter it, but I'm somewhat confident that it's probably not a power wire. Spent some time down here this weekend and cleaned this basement up. It is a freaking disaster. Oh, still got that degaussing issue. Not a big deal. So let me take this white wire. First off, let me hit the credit button. Okay, so it credited it. Still credit it with the white button disconnected, or the white wire disconnected. So let me turn the game off. Back on. Okay, let's take the white wire and let's touch it to ground. See if we get a credit. We get a credit, or do we not? Do we not? No. Okay. Okay, it's not the white wire. Okay, let me turn it off for a second. Jolene, you gotta move, girl. Oh, okay. Orange is 4-player. So unplug that, because we don't want 4-player. We don't ever want it to go on to 4-player. So that's good. Looks like white's 5 volts. And the reason why I know that is because when I touched it, it made a noise. Oh shit, you know what I should have did? Should have tested it when it was just the red and white. That's all right. Kind of rambling to myself here, guys. Okay, it's the orange wire. Beautiful. And I'm touching it like 30 times and it's staying a 2-player game. It's not going into 4-player because that's what the yellow one or the red one did. I forget. So I'm hoping now that we eliminated that switch completely, or that button, if I hold the orange onto the brown of the start button, will it credit and start the game all at the same time? No. Yes. Yes, it did. Okay. Let's try that again. I'm going to hold it to the terminal first before I turn the game on, as if I had it hooked up permanently. Letting it turn on for a second before I try it. It's not letting me do it, but do I need the black wire from that other button? So do I need to hook up both wires to this other switch? Because maybe it's just, it's in a different part of the board and it doesn't share the ground maybe. It's my theory. Okay, now let me try pushing the button. Nope. Now, you know what? I think I was having a problem with the start button the other day. Could be just the button's bad. It is. The start button's messed up. Okay, so that could be part of the problem. Let me try to hook my two wires up again. Might just have to swap out this start button, which is not a big deal because I gotta wire it into the coin door anyways. Why did it start at 10:11? Oh, it might just be on this. Okay, so I hit it once. Come on. It's so odd that it wouldn't work. It did that time. See, I pushed it twice and it wouldn't start. 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not wanting to start. Touch two terminals. Yep, it's the button's bad. I just touched two terminals with my crimpers and it turned on. So, grab a button. I want to see if I can put the button into this coin door here. So if you hit this coin return, see how that goes down? And I mount it right here somehow and it just turns it on. Okay, so I cut off that old button. Here's a new one. I'm just gonna put the black on the one side and the brown and orange on the other, and we're gonna see if it'll start a game. I'm just gonna hold it on there. I mean, in theory, you would think it would work. Okay, let's turn it on. Hit it. Hit it a second time. Damn it, my wires fell out. Take two. Started it. So let me turn it off one more time. All right, let me see here what happens. Okay, it zeroed it out. You have to hit it 3 times. So now I want to do is see when the game ends, what's it going to do? Because those, you know, that wire, I hit it 3 times. Is it going to have more credits on it, or what's it going to do? I don't know. Turn this light off. Of course, it's going to take a while. I think it's set, I don't know if this is set to 11 or 15. I think it's set to 11, and that's what I wanted at because the sticker up there says 11.
Every 10 days?
No, I guess it's set for 15. I can switch that. There's a dip switch on the board, I believe, that goes from 11 to 15. All right, one more. Okay, so player 2 won. Now it's just going to sit here and bounce around, which is good. That's what it's supposed to do. So let me hit the button now and see what happens. It's first one, that clears it. Second one, still nothing. Third one, nothing. 4 hits, and then it comes up with those blocks. Then the 5th one starts the game. So why does it take that many hits? Let me hook up the second ground wire just to make sure that maybe it's just not getting a good ground from one to the other. I don't know, just guessing. It's a pain in the butt. Well, I don't think we're going to be finishing this tonight. I think I'm going to see if this works and call it a night, and then tomorrow night we'll continue on. I was hoping to have it done, but I'm not going to rush it either. Okay, cleared it. Still nothing. I mean, it doesn't really bother. Okay, I have the paddles laying in there the correct way. So the shorter wires go to the player 2 side, the longer wires go to the player 1 side. That's pretty coincidental how that worked out. But let's hit this button one more time. Okay, so I held it down. Okay, so if you hold it down for a split second, then it seems to work better. Yep, hold it down. Okay, if you hold it down for a split second, then 2 hits and it'll start the game. So, all right, we're gonna end this here. Tomorrow, we'll drill out these 2 holes. One switch will be for player 1 game. The other switch is gonna be the main cabinet power. That'll mount in here on the side. And then we have our 2 potentiometers that go into our player 1 and player 2 paddle. And then we have the start button, which we'll have to lengthen the wires over to here, get them through here, and figure out how we're going to mount that button right here so that when we push the coin return, it credits it. So, all right, guys, well, that's part 5 of the paddle battle. It is almost done. I will see you guys tomorrow. There's going to be a video on this, and there's going to be a video on Spy Hunter. So thanks for watching. Any questions or comments, feel free to ask, and I'll see you guys later.